The next card after that is card 13, which is the Death card, which is everyone's favorite, right? Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Mystic Rain here, and we are going to be learning Tarot, Part 2. So Part 1 of Tarot had the first 7 cards of the Major Arcana. This particular video is going to cover the next 7 cards of the Major Arcana, and the rest of the tarot cards are going to be broken up in more parts because there's too many cards for me to do in one video, and also I get tired. Okay, so again, like I said in the first video, I'm not going to be able to go through every symbol in the card because there's so many and we will be here for months. But I'm going to give you symbols that I think are important and relevant, and symbols that I think can help you in terms of your retention and your memory and remembering what certain cards mean and what different things are. And I'm also going to give you the meaning of the cards and hopefully do a really good job of showing you how the cards are interconnected and how they weave together. So let's just jump into Part 2 of the Major Arcanas. So in Part 1, we left off on the Lovers. This was the last card. The Lovers being the card of choice. You have to choose. Are you going to eat the fruit or not? And you have to know that either decision that you make has its own repercussions, all right? This is where we left off, the Lovers card. The next card in the tarot is card number 7, which is the Chariot. This card means go. This card is forward movement. When you see this, this means all bets are off. Pick up your hat, get your luggage. It's time to get the hell out of here. Let's go. This is like, if you say, I have a goal and this comes up, this means go. Do it now, like right now. This card is a card of movement. So in the card, you look, here we do, you got this guy in the Chariot, of course. If you look at his hand over here, you will see that he's holding a wand, which is very reminiscent of the magician, right? He's holding his wand. That means he's taken all his resources, all his lessons, and all his magic, because we are all the magicians. He's taking it with him on his journey. You will also notice that in this card, he is by himself, so he has set off to complete his journey on his own, which is what everyone in life has to do eventually. Laying down right now, who are waiting to get up in order to go. They're waiting for the command to go, or the Sphinxes. You got a white Sphinx and you got the black Sphinx. This is balance. This is yin and yang. And if you look at the Sphinxes, they're kind of pointing like this. I'll show you again. They're kind of off to the side, which shows you that if he doesn't wield his wand correctly, then he's not going to find the right balance in order to move forward properly. The Sphinxes are going to go that way. He needs to use his resources and use his magic, use his potential, use his inner power to make sure he maintains balance so the Sphinxes have proper leadership. And so they know what they're doing. Because if you don't do that, they're just kind of going to go off and do whatever it is that they want to do. He needs to be grounded in his resolve and what it is that he wants to do to complete the task. But this is definitely a card of confirmation to go forward because you are definitely on the right path. If you look at his crown has stars on it, which is again a reminder and a symbol that he's one with the universe. And if you look at the Chariot at the top, that kind of awning blue thing also has stars in it, reminiscing of the galaxy, and also another reminder that you're one with the universe. It is also a reminder that you're not alone. So even though you have to set off on journeys sometimes and go forward by yourself, it's a reminder that you do have a whole spirit team that's on the other side that's assisting you every step of the way. If you continue to look at the card, you will see that there is a city in the background. There are buildings in the back. In the tarot, when you see mountains are symbols of spiritual potential and spiritual growth. When you see buildings are a symbol of physical potential and physical growth. Things that are tangible, things that you can touch in the real world is success, it's prosperity, it's money, it's business, it's jobs, it's that type of stuff. This is showing that he's leaving all of that behind. He has, if you go all the way back to the Fool being that taking the leap of faith to begin that next chapter of your life, this is him leaving the previous chapter behind. He has made the decision. He took that leap of faith with the Fool. He's gathered all his resources. He's harnessed his power. He spoke to mom and dad, who was the empress and the emperor. He then spoke to the Hierophant. They gave him spiritual teachings and gave him spiritual wisdom. And then he made a decision, which was the Lover's card. And after all of that, he's now leaving town. So just because he's leaving all of that behind, because he may have had a good life, he may have not, he has recognized the fact that he still needs to go and that there are other things that he wants to do and other things that he wants to pursue. And so that is what he's going to do. So if you get this card, the chariot means go off and at him. The next card is the Strength card. So when you see this card, the Strength card is actually referring to inner strength. It's not referring to outer strength or brute strength or like muscles or anything physical like that. It's talking about inner strength, getting a hold of yourself, taming your beast. If you look at the card here, you have the woman here, right? And she's next to a lion. Now, most times, if you're by a lion is not going to look this nice. They're not going to look like they want to lick you. They're not going to look like they're fond of you. They're probably going to be trying to eat you. Notice how she is in control of the lion. Notice how she is taming the lion. Notice how she's doing so softly, gently, and she's nurturing it. The lion represents her own inner beast. She is actually taming the beast of herself. She is taming herself, but she's doing so with love, with affection, and with compassion. Sometimes in life, a lot of times in life, you have to get a hold of yourself. You have to find your own inner strength and inner resolve to continue through a situation. But sometimes what happens, if we feel like we can't find it fast enough, we become very hard on ourselves. We say, why are we like this? Why do I think like this? Why can't I do this right? Why blah, 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 blah. What this card is showing you is that you can do all of those things and you can tame yourself, but you can do so nicely, you can do so kindly, and you can do so compassionately. And that is what she's doing. This is what represents. Again, behind them, there are some mountains, which represents potential for spiritual growth. And if you notice above her head, she's got another infinity sign reminding you that you are immortal, that you are one with the universe, and she's also wearing it as a crown. And around her, she's surrounded by yellow light, which signifies the sun, reminding you that you are guided through this time and that you're not alone. So sometimes we reach points in our life where we have to find that inner strength, that inner power, that inner courage, and we don't know where to pull it from. This is a reminder that if you pull it from yourself, and while you're doing that, your team in the spirit world will be helping you find the strength that you actually need to find. The next card is the Hermit card. So the Hermit card features an old man with a walking stick. And you can see that he's standing on something that looks to be the tip of a mountain. So this suggests that this man has actually hiked up a mountain by himself, alone. And mountains, again, represent potential and spiritual growth, which means that he left and he went on a spiritual journey. This is why these two cards are connected, and this is why they follow each other in a linear pattern with the numbers at the top from 8 to 9. So you have to find spiritual or inner strength, right? A lot of times it'll happen, you'll struggle through life sometimes, and you need to find inner strength and inner resolve. And how do you do that? You go inwards. You have to go off by yourself sometimes to get a hold of yourself sometimes, right? So him standing at the top of the mountain signifies that he's taken that journey of potential and spiritual growth to grow inwardly and to grow spiritually. He's holding a lantern and it's nighttime, which signifies that he got there by simply following his own personal guided light. He didn't depend on anybody else. He didn't depend on anything. He depended on his own personal guiding light, and he followed it. And by following it, he made it to the top of the mountain. Now, when you get to the top of the mountain, what usually happens? You turn around and you have to take scope of everything that's happening below you, right? And so presumably, he can actually see the ground. He probably sees cities. He probably sees other mountains. Whatever you would see at the top of the mountain, he's looking down at and he sees. What he's doing is taking stock of his life. He's taking stock of everything that exists, what's there. He's also considering what doesn't need to be there, what he wants more of. He's taking stock. He's reflecting, and he had to take that spiritual journey alone in order to do that, which is why he's called the hermit. He's hermiting. We have all had situations where we have turned inwardly to get a hold of ourselves, to get a hold of our mental state, to find the inner strength, to find our strength. And then what happens when we come out? We usually say to people, people, oh, I'm so sorry. I had to be a hermit for a little bit. I had to get a hold of myself. This is what this card is representing. This is the need to go inward. This is the need to take care of yourself for a little bit, to deal with yourself a little bit, to go off, kind of be a loner and follow your own personal guidance. And sometimes in order to hear our guidance, our own personal guidance, we have to take time by ourselves. And this is what this card is representing. The next card is card number 10, which is the Wheel of Fortune. Simply put, it's the Wheel of Fortune. It's the luck card. If you look at the four corners of the card, you see all these beings here all around. You also can see, because I can't see, you even see a sphinx sitting at the top. On the wheel itself is written Torah. There's the serpent again that's next to it, representing knowledge, a whole bunch of choices, and then luck, right? Because it's the Wheel of Fortune card. Typically, if you see this card pop out, it's a good sign. It just means luck that's on your way. It means fortune is on your way. But there's one thing that I want to point out in regards to luck. Luck is neutral. Luck is luck. Luck is neither good or bad. You have the power to spin the wheel the way you want to spin it. You can spin it actively, or the wheel can spin based off of your choices, your behavior, and your decisions. So when you see the Wheel of Fortune card, it's also always good to remind yourself to go and to make the right decisions and make a decision on how you choose to spin it, right? Because the wheel is unbiased. It is impartial. It will spin whichever way it wants to spin. So I would suggest you spin it in the way that you feel like will benefit you, because luck is neutral. Is it going to be good luck or is it going to be bad luck? And that decision is up to you, your choices, and your behavior. The next card after that is Justice. Justice immediately follows the Wheel of Fortune. Justice is number 11. It follows the Wheel of Fortune because, again, is it good luck or is it bad luck? It spins depending on you, your choices, and your behavior. And then you have to answer for your choices and your behavior. And this is the Justice card. Now, if you look at the Justice card closely, you will see that she is holding, I want to make sure you see this because this is important, she's holding a sword right here. The sword is the sword of justice. She's holding it up right now, which means that she hasn't yet made a decision on anything. When the sword comes down, the decision is made. So right now, she's holding it up, she's taking in information, she's taking stock, and she's figuring out which decision that should be made. In the other hand, over here, she's holding scales. She's balancing. Very Libra energy, right? She is balancing the information to see how the scales are balancing out. She takes a little piece of that information, a little piece of that information, and sees how the scales are balancing out. You can also see that she is, again, sitting in front of two pillars. The pillars also have a veil behind them. The veil is purple, and you won't know what's behind the veil until she makes her decision. And so you can also see that if you look at her eyes are very non-expressive. Here we go. Can you see it? I hope you can see it. Focus. Her eyes are very non-expressive. She's looking at you almost kind of with like a blank look, right? Like a blank stare. The reason being is because Justice is impartial. And a lot of tarot decks, Justice is also wearing a blindfold, which is another symbol of her being impartial. Not in this particular tarot deck, though. She's impartial and she is unbiased. She is simply listening to facts, and based off of how heavy those facts are and which way the scales tip will determine the decision that she makes. And when she makes a decision, she brings her sword down and the decision has been made. And that is why it's so heavily affected by the Wheel of Fortune, because based off of your choices and your decisions and your behavior, it will determine which side the wheel spins. Is it good luck or is it bad luck? And that will then determine how the scales balance or how the scales tip. And then that will then determine whether or not she brings her sword down, and if she brings her sword down in your favor. Think about it from this perspective. If you've ever been to court, or you have ever watched a court show like Judge Judy or Joe Mathis, you'll notice that the judge, it's hard to read them. Whenever you leave the courtroom, people usually say, oh, it could go either way. It's very hard to read them. Why? Because they are unbiased and they are impartial and they are simply taking in facts. They figure out which way the scales tip, they bring up their gavel, and it comes down. And when the decision is made, a decision is made. You can't go, hey, judge, Can we talk about this again? The answer is no. When they've made their decision, they've made their decision. And this is what's happening here. She's simply sitting here taking in all the facts, observing you, waiting to make a decision based off of your choices and your behavior. The next card after that is card 12, which is the Hangman. Now, this card will have a lot of times pop up when you feel like you're in a space of stillness, when you're in a space of limbo, when there's just not a lot happening for you. You just feel like, I don't really know what to do. Like, just in general, whenever you feel like your life is just in a state of limbo somewhere, right? This is when this card has a tendency to come up. You can also assume that this card comes up because she's made a decision, her sword has came down, and that it came down against his favor because he made bad decisions with the Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune gave him bad luck, and then so we got to the Justice card. She ruled, and then she ruled against his favor, and now he's here hanging from a tree. So when you get this card, you're usually in a place of stillness, and you have to consider it from, it feels like sometimes like you're hanging, right? Like you're just kind of hanging in limbo. You don't really know what's going on. This card is telling you to change your perspective. Even though he's hanging from a tree, if you really look closely, there's not really a part of him that looks all that uncomfortable. He's just kind of hanging there. He's even got his leg folded, right? He's just kind of hanging there. He's still got greenery growing in the trees right here. That's still symbolizing the fact that there's still sort of some abundance there. Like it's not all barren, right? There's still some sort of blessings there. He's hanging upside down and his head is glowing, which is a symbol of a crown or like a divine crown. It means his crown chakra is open. He's connected spiritually to divine, to the source, to his higher power. What he's doing is taking stock of his situation, but he's doing it upside down, which means that he's shifting his perspective. So when you reach a point in your life where you feel like you are in a place of stillness and limbo, and you're starting to get frustrated because life isn't moving forward, and you get this card is telling you to change your perspective. Reevaluate things, find good in the bad, and recognize the little blessings that you do have because you have them. When you begin to do that, your crown chakra will begin to grow because you will reconnect to the source and you will start to remember who you are. And when you start to do that, things in life will move again. Now, I'm going to refer to my notes for this card because I feel like I'm missing something and I want to make sure you guys have everything. And this can also mean, again, so crown chakra, so it is spiritual, like attunement, also a readjustment. So this can also happen, will happen when you have sort of unexpected changes in life, not devastating changes, but maybe unexpected changes, like you move unexpectedly or you change jobs unexpectedly. This would kind of happen too. It's requiring you to have a new perspective on what's going on. Now, the next card after that is card 13, which is the Death card, which is everyone's favorite, right? So contrary to popular belief, this is actually a pretty good card. The Death card does not mean you're dying. Oh my God. It does not mean you're dying. It does not mean that there will be a death. It does not mean that somebody you know will die. A death card simply means that there's a transformation happening, right? You have to think of it like a caterpillar. A caterpillar dies, right? It kind of goes into the chrysalis and then it emerges as a butterfly. And a phoenix burns to ashes and then it emerges transformed again as a phoenix. It is the rebirth. In order to be born, something must die, right? In order for something new to start, something must end. It's just a symbol of rebirth. Now, if you look closely, I'm not particularly fond of the imagery. It's very dramatic here. You do have the royal family here. So you have the king who has died, it looks like. You have, I believe, the Hierophant who is here. You can see because he's got that fish hat that kind of looks like the Pope. And remember how I said there's a lot of Christian references in the tarot, which is how you know it's not like of the devil, but whatever, that's a whole nother video. And then if you see the king has fallen, presumably he's dead and he's lost his crown. You have the Hierophant who is praying sort of for salvation, presumably for the king's salvation. You've got some kids here who presumably are his kids, right? And they're all praying. This means there's the end of something. There is something that is dying. It's a little part of your ego that is dying here, right? Because you got to think, kings presumably have big egos, just a little part of your ego that is dying. Because the reason for this is that you just came out of the hangman. When you have the hangman, you begin establishing newer perspectives, change perspectives, right? You start to change your own personal narrative. Your crown chakra has grown because you have become more attuned to things spiritually. And when that happens, you naturally will transform and change, and a part of your ego will die a little bit because you'll start to realize that old things that you may have thought or believe you no longer think or believe. And so that will cause a death of a part of you, and that the part that will be replaced, or what it will be replaced with, will be sort of this new part of you that has transformed. And this is what this card represents. Also, if you look all the way in the back right here, you see the sun emerging again between two pillars. You've got the balance, right? That's a reoccurring theme in the tarot, which is telling you that all is not lost. You're just going through a spiritual transformation. Whenever you're experiencing a spiritual transformation in tarot, it'll usually come up in the form of the Hanged Man and the Death card. And a lot of times these two cards will pop out in the same spread. It means that there is a spiritual transformation that is happening. So this is the end of part 2. Woo, this is going to take us forever, but we are getting there. I hope that this was helpful. I'm hoping that I'm bringing a perspective to the tarot that you probably don't normally usually get, or people don't normally talk about. This is the traditional perspective of the tarot, with the traditional cards, because again, the Rider-Waite cards are the cards that the majority of tarot decks that are released today in the market are actually based off of. It's really important that you understand where these cards are actually coming from and where they're drawing the symbolism and the symbols from, because that's what makes up the meanings. And so I'm hoping that I'm giving you a better understanding of tarot. Every card has so many meanings in it that I couldn't possibly begin to start addressing, because we will be here for months. But I'm hoping that I'm giving you enough symbols to help you with your retention and you remembering what the cards mean, as well as giving you a backstory to help you understand how the cards weave in and out, how they're actually connected to each other, and what the cards actually mean on their own. So if you have a question about any of these cards, maybe there was something in it that you saw that I didn't address and you want to know more about it, leave it in the comments. I will get back to you, and I hope this is helpful. And as always, if you like what you see, subscribe to this channel, and I will see you guys soon.